I think it's a day that we pay homage, if that's a proper word, I mean it that way, to fellow patriots that fought in wars.
For Kenneth McFarland Jr., his Veterans Day would begin in 1943.
I went into service as an infantryman. A buddy of mine he says, let's go join the Air Force. I became a pilot in February '43. I was in the 91st Bomb Group, heavy, meaning 4 engines in this case. The 91st Bomb Group was part of the 8th Air Force. I flew B-17s.
He is credited with 30 combat missions and still remembers his last.
The afternoon before D-Day, I flew my final mission. One of the gun emplacements on the other side of the channel where the invasion took place, and we did indeed drop our bombs.
He and his crew silenced one of the many gun emplacements that would have been directed at the Allied invasion, which happened the next morning.
You know, we got to our base on D-Day in the mid-morning, and we didn't know until about 5 o'clock that afternoon that history was being made.
Alan Finch also was a bomber pilot.
In the 3rd Division, the 34th Bomb Group, the 7th Squadron. I was a pilot on a B-24 and a B-17. I was in the mighty 8th Air Force, stationed in England.
Well, I could say congratulations to getting in the right Air Force for both of us.
The American 8th Air Force has been steadily contributing to the Allies' round-the-clock air offensive, particularly with its heavily armed flying fortresses.
Today, Kenneth and Alan met for the first time. Both attend Clays Mill Road Baptist Church, and both share a common bond. Their mission: destroy the Nazis' ability to fight.
We had airplane factories and ball bearing plants and chemical plants.
Factories, towns.
And railroad marshalling yards.
Specific targets like gunnery.
We're trying to cut them back so they couldn't supply their troops with airplanes or gasoline or whatever. We'd fly up to about 18,000 feet. It'd take us about 3 hours to get up to 18,000 feet. Nowadays, these jets are up there in about 5 or 10 seconds. Well, we had a bombardier and a navigator, pilot and co-pilot, had a top turret gunner, and a ball turret gunner, a radio operator, and waist gunners, and a tail gunner.
The heavy bombers posted slower speeds, which made them easy prey.
Well, the fighter planes were much faster than we were that were attacking us.
Oh, you're just a sitting duck. Those old German boys are shooting that flak up at us. Trying to bring us down. When that shell explodes, it just makes a little black cloud. It's almost black as soot.
I wasn't smart enough to get excited about it until I flown several missions, and I said, well, these guys are really shooting at us.
There's only one really close call, and that was over a German city named Ludwigshafen. We had just dropped our bombs, and anti-aircraft guns shot out one of our number 4 engine. A couple minutes later, they got the number 2 engine, the one closest to the pilot, and then the propeller just windmilled free and the engine was stopped. And then we dropped down about 10,000 feet so we could get off of oxygen. And we decided to lighten up our load, and so we threw all our guns out and our ammunition. We even dropped the ball turret, which weighs around 1,000 pounds, and kept on heading towards England. Pretty soon we crossed the English Channel and we saw the white cliffs of Dover. They sure looked good. And when I saw those, I knew we were pretty close to home.
Finch received the Distinguished Flying Cross for that mission, but so many others would not make it home.
You know, there's about over 12,000 B-17s built, and 4,700 of them were shot down.
26,000 men of the 8th Air Force died during their service in Europe. That's more than the United States Marine Corps lost during World War II.
My last mission was the 28th of December, and I got the message that my bombardier and one of my gunners were killed in action. I think I know Mama and Dad were praying for me every day that their little boy would come back safely. I think that's what did it. It wasn't anything I did.
Both agree they were always safe in the arms of God.
In that sense that they talk about, God was my co-pilot, so to speak, but God's my command pilot. The Lord has been good to me.
They're considered part of a group known as the Greatest Generation, but neither of these men consider themselves heroes, just a small part in a big war.
My brother was 2 years older than I was. He was an infantryman. He didn't come back. He was killed in Leyte in the Pacific. I just appreciated all the other guys that were, a lot of them were killed.
Well, I had a pretty easy time. Well, that's when I remember all those infantry boys and the Navy and the Marines, and those are the fellows that really had a rough, tough war. I mean, trying to establish a beachhead in those Pacific Islands and the Normandy over on D-Day. And those guys really had a rough time. I mean, they were right in there with the dead people and the wounded people, and those were the real heroes in the war, I feel.
And so we honor those who have honored us with their love, their sacrifice, their lives, and their service to our great nation. Happy Veterans Day.